Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanna talk about something that is very personal to me and that most of you may know about. At least those of you who know me personally should know some stuff about this. And the thing is, I wanna go deeper into my diagnosis. If you have seen my I finally got diagnosed video, I'll be linking it in the description below if you haven't. You know that I have bipolar disorder, and today I wanna share a little bit about what it's actually like to live with this disease, and what it's like to basically be me on a daily basis. Okay, so if you know anything about bipolar disorder at all, you probably know that it is kind of two-faced. You have like this period of time where you feel like really good, and then you have one when you feel really bad. What's important to note is also that there are two different bipolar disorders. There is type 1 and type 2. Type 1 is more severe, and type 2, which I have, that is less severe and your symptoms aren't as drastic. So bipolar type 2 contains two different stages. The first is the depressive one, and then there is the hypomania. Hypomania is different from mania, which type 2 doesn't have. Type 1 has mania, type 2 has hypomania. Mania is the state where type 1 bipolar people are they are really elevated. Some people even experience hallucinations and like illusions of grandeur. There are tons of different stuff. But when you have hypomania, you don't experience, for example, hallucinations. You don't get any, like it's less intense. It's less intense than mania. But let's start with the one that is more simple to understand for someone who doesn't maybe know all that much about what it's like to be bipolar, and that is the depressive state. Okay, so in the depression part of my diagnosis, I experience a lot of sadness. Like I can cry for like no reason. Like I can cry about not finding the correct sock to match the one I already have. Like really like small, simple stuff. Like things that people in the movies would cry about when they're on their period or pregnant. That kind of thing. That I cry about. I cry a lot when I'm really sad. There's also for me a huge loss of motivation that goes for basically everything, like even stuff that I love to do, like recording, for example, and editing and all of that stuff. The motivation just kind of like poof, disappears, doesn't come back, and I usually don't know how to fix that. Usually just wait it out and it will gradually come back on its own. This also goes for like hobbies, like painting and writing and drawing. Like it all kind of just, I don't want to do anything basically. When I'm in my depressive state, I either eat absolutely everything and anything, or I don't want to eat at all. And usually there is no in between. It's just like, there are just extremes when it comes to this for me, and this varies from time to time. Like, I can have one time where I eat everything, and then I go into hypomania, and then the cycle completes, and then I start in the depressive state again, and then I don't want to eat anything at all. So this is different from time to time for me. I can also feel a lot of like emptiness. I sometimes don't feel anything at all, which is really scary. It's a really weird concept when you're usually a very passionate person, like I am. When I feel well, I am passionate about politics and my interests and a lot of other things, but that kind of goes away. And also I usually have a lot of emotions when I feel well. Like I'm usually a very happy, positive person, but that also kind of just disappears into an emptiness that is very hard to explain. Like basically you just kind of feel nothing, and there's nothing you can do about feeling nothing. It's just kind of there. On the really bad days, I have a lot of difficulty getting out of bed. I can't really find a reason to, unless there is something like concrete that I have to do, which requires me to get out of bed, that will like negatively affect someone else if I don't do it. Like, for example, if I know Estelle doesn't have any food in her bowl, then, you know, I get up and I feed her, of course. But when it's something that's just like, for me, for example, like a class, and I have a rough time getting out of bed, the whole going to class isn't enough to motivate me, and then I just skip it. So yeah, that is a very difficult thing to do, because I can tell myself like 20 times mentally, like, you know, you have to get up, you have to get up, you have stuff to do, come on. But it doesn't work on the really bad days. Sometimes you can push through and like force yourself out of bed. Like I can sometimes, even in the really bad days, like just push enough to like at least get out of bed and like go sit on the couch in the living room or something. And the last thing I want to talk about is the tiredness, which is severe in this state. I can like easily sleep 12 hours and I would still feel tired, and that's of course not a good thing. I mean, you're not supposed to sleep more than like 9 hours or 10, depending on what kind of person you are. But when I feel like what I think is like normal for people who don't have this diagnosis, I usually sleep like 6-7 hours and I'm fine. But during this state, like, no amount of sleep is enough. I'm always sleepy, I'm always tired. That's really difficult to handle, because even if you like manage to do something, you're not gonna do it well because you're exhausted and your brain doesn't really register your sleep as sleep. It's just like, no, we need more of this, get on it. And then there's the other states, the hypomania, which I already kind of explained. This is also something that can be a bit different from time to time, but this is more of the same every time. It doesn't vary as much as the like lower parts of my diagnosis, but there's a few differences from time to time. During my hypomania, I get super motivated to do everything and anything. Like, everything is really interesting and everything is awesome and fantastic, and I want to do this and this and this and this today. I'm really happy, and I work on a million different projects at the same time. I get tons of work done in this state, which is, you know, kind of good, because I don't get anything done in the other one. But still, I work like maybe like 15 hours a day on different projects and on school stuff and just in general, and I don't really feel it, which is of course negative, because then I don't really realize, hey, take breaks and rest, which I should probably get better when it comes to doing that. I get really easily irritated when I'm in this particular state, like, even if it could be something really small that sets me off, and that's like the most annoying thing in the world. Like, if I'm sitting at my computer and then Theo has his computer like behind me when I sit at my desk, and then if he hits like the space key, it's louder than the rest of them, and that will annoy me like to the ends of the earth. Like, something that small can make a huge difference in my work then and there, because I get super annoyed at like the smallest stuff. Like, the smallest stuff annoy me to like the ends of the world. I get also something also in the state, I get something that I would like to call hyper-focused, where I completely like dive into my work and I don't think of anything else. I can just sit and like type on a novel for like 8 hours straight and not realize like, hey, I haven't eaten today, or hey, I haven't stood up in 6 hours. Maybe, yeah, I should do that. This is also something where the irritation part comes into play, because if I am hyper-focused and I'm like really into my work, and then someone tries to talk to me or sends me a message, most annoying thing in the world. And that has nothing to do with the person, that's just the way it is. sadly. In this state I forget to eat. When I'm in the depressed part, I can sometimes choose not to eat because I don't feel like I have the motivation or the need to eat. But in this state I can also completely forget to. Like if I dive into my work really energetically, then I mean suddenly it's been 6 hours and I have forgotten lunch and it's like 6 in the evening and I'm like, maybe I should eat a packet of noodles or something. This happened a lot when I lived alone. Like I could go from like 9 in the morning to 7 in the evening and not realize that, hey, food is a thing. But now when I live with Theo, usually he remembers to like remind me like, hey, if you haven't eaten anything, it's probably time for you to do so. Otherwise your body won't really be appreciate you as much. So that's also a good thing when it comes to living with someone who understands what it's like to have this disorder. They remind you to eat when you forget to. Sometimes I also feel like I don't need to eat, and I also feel like I don't need sleep, which is a really scary thing because I can sleep 2 hours and feel fine, and I can sleep 2 hours for days at a time and feel fine, which is, you know, clearly not normal. And like the logical part of my brain, like the one that is a biologist and know how humans and most animals work, realizes that, hey, 2 hours a night isn't really optimal. You should probably try to get some more sleep in. But in the moment I usually don't realize that, hey, sleep some more, just try and go back to sleep. And sometimes also even if I try to sleep, I can't because my brain just won't shut off. Because when I'm in my hypomania state, I am very, like, my thoughts go at like a million thoughts a second. They go so fast and there's so many of them that sometimes my brain just can't shut down when it comes to time to sleep. Because even if I try to sleep and even if I know like, hey, I should be sleeping, my brain doesn't really recognize that I should be. So, but this is just, all of this is just what it's like for me. Of course, this is something just like any other mental illness or syndrome or diagnosis, whatever you want to call them. This is something that is specific to me. Most mental illnesses have they differ from person to person, and what I'm experiencing might not be the same thing as what someone else with the same diagnosis as I have is experiencing. So don't like compare me to other people you might know with this diagnosis, because this is something that is unique for everyone. It's a unique experience and you can't really compare people to people in that way. So yeah, this is what it's like for me to be me, I guess, on a regular basis. I hope you learned something. Maybe you learned something about bipolar disorder in general, or maybe you learned something about me. And even if you didn't, I hope this was a very entertaining video to watch. I tried to make it as informational and entertaining as possible. This is a very difficult subject to talk about, you know, as always with mental health, but I think I did a good job. I feel like I did a good job. So that was everything I had for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a thumbs up so I know I can make more videos like this in the future. And if you would like to watch something else that I have made, including my I finally got diagnosed video, I will be linking 2 videos here and here. And if you're new here, subscribe, because I post videos whenever I feel like it, honestly. Other than that, I will see you in the next one.